Welcome back, everyone, to another remarkable journey into the world of gemstones, where beauty, history, and hard truths collide. Today, we're not talking about jewels to buy, but the ones experts warn you to avoid. Stones that sparkle in the showcase, yet crumble in reality. Gems that once carried promises of fortune, but now have only regret. And here's something you might not know. The stone ranked number one on this list still sells for tens of thousands of dollars per carat. To the naked eye, it's flawless, brilliant, dazzling, everything you expect from the most prized gem on earth. But behind its shine is a shadow so heavy that no serious investor dares to touch it anymore. That's why, if you've ever thought about owning a diamond or any gemstone as an investment, you can't afford to skip this video. Missing what's revealed here could mean repeating some of the costliest mistakes in history. Before we begin, if this is your first time here on Gemstone Kingdom, we invite you to like this video and subscribe. For us, that small gesture is more than a number. It's a gift. It allows us to continue uncovering the hidden truths about gems, bringing you stories that traders and marketers rarely tell. So let's dive into the top 10 gemstones experts warn you shouldn't buy anymore, and discover why brilliance isn't always value. Rank 10. Hydrophane Opal, the gem that drinks water and cracks apart. Would you ever spend hundreds of dollars on a gemstone that might lose its color, turn cloudy, or even crack apart in just a few years? Many buyers already have, and that is why experts now warn against the hydrophane opal. This stone originates from Ethiopia, specifically the Wallo and Shewa regions, where miners excavate through volcanic deposits located high on the Ethiopian plateau. It entered the market in the early 2000s and dazzled jewelers around the world. Dealers described it as a revolution, a new source of opal, rivaling Australia's best. At first glance, it is hard to disagree. Hydrophane opals display spectacular play of color. Some show flashes of electric green and fiery red across a nearly transparent body. Others have a milky base with pastel rainbows shifting under the surface. When polished into cabochons, they appear alive, constantly changing under light. For jewelers, this beauty seemed irresistible. But here lies the problem. Hydrophane opals are porous. The very structure of the gem allows it to absorb water and other liquids. Drop one into a glass of water, and the stone can become almost invisible, its fire extinguished until it dries again. Worse still, repeated cycles of absorption and drying create tiny fractures, a process gemologists call crazing. Over time, the brilliant colors fade, the stone turns cloudy, and cracks spread across its surface. This instability makes hydrophane opal a poor choice for jewelry. Rings or pendants are exposed to humidity, sweat, perfume, and even rain, all factors that accelerate damage. Collectors report that stones they bought a decade ago, once glowing with fire, are now pale, lifeless, or fractured beyond repair. Unlike diamonds or sapphires, which survive for centuries, hydrophane opal can fail within a single human lifetime. On the market, prices for these gems remain low compared to other gems, often ranging from $50 to a few $100s per carat. But what looks affordable today may prove costly tomorrow when the gem deteriorates. Museums store them under controlled conditions. Private buyers rarely have that option. For this reason, gem experts increasingly advise: admire hydrophane opal, but don't buy it as a long-term investment. And here's the question for you right now. Do you think it's worth owning a stone that burns bright but fades quickly? Or do you prefer gems built to last generations? Share your thoughts in the comments. This debate goes beyond geology. It's about how we define value and beauty. Ranked number 10, hydrophane opal is a gemstone of fleeting brilliance. Born in Ethiopia's highlands, it can dazzle like lightning in stone. But its fragility is why experts say this is one gem you should no longer buy. Rank 9. Mystic Topaz, a coated illusion with no real value. Would you pay for a gemstone whose rainbow colors aren't natural at all, but the result of a factory coating that can wear off in a matter of months? This is the controversy surrounding Mystic Topaz, a stone that many jewelers now warn against. Topaz itself is a genuine mineral, mined in countries like Brazil, Nigeria, and Sri Lanka. In nature, it can be colorless, golden, or even blue. For centuries, it was cut into gemstones and treasured for its hardness, ranking 8 on the Mohs scale, and its natural brilliance. However, in the 1990s, dealers seeking a way to market low-value, colorless topaz began experimenting with surface treatments. Using a process called thin film coating, they applied a vaporized layer of titanium or a similar metal onto the surface of the cut topaz. The result? A dazzling rainbow effect, shifting from green to purple to gold, depending on the light. At first glance, mystic topaz is eye-catching. Its iridescence makes it look exotic, futuristic, and different from traditional gems. Its kaleidoscopic glow drew in jewelry buyers, often marketed as something rare and mysterious. But the truth is far less glamorous. That rainbow color is not part of the stone. It's just a fragile layer on the surface. A single scratch, a minor wear on a ring, or exposure to heat and chemicals can damage or strip the coating, leaving behind plain, colorless topaz. For archaeologists studying gem traditions, mystic topaz poses a unique irony. While ancient cultures valued stones for their enduring qualities, this modern creation is designed for temporary beauty. It has no cultural heritage, no geological rarity, and no long-term stability. It is costume jewelry sold at gemstone prices. In terms of market value, mystic topaz is inexpensive, typically $10 to $30 per carat, sometimes more when set in silver or gold. But unlike sapphire or spinel, it will not appreciate, and in fact, it may deteriorate. Collectors view it as disposable. High-end jewelers rarely work with it. For investors, the stone carries zero credibility. Why should you avoid mystic topaz? Because it is a manufactured illusion. Its beauty fades with time, and its value is little more than the price of the coating applied to its surface. For a stone that cannot last, the risk is clear. You may be buying into disappointment. So here's my question to you. Would you ever invest in a gemstone knowing its colors are artificial? Or do you think short-lived beauty is enough if the price is low? Share your thoughts in the comments. We want to know where you stand in this debate. Ranked number 9, mystic topaz is a coated illusion, striking to the eye, fragile in reality, and a reminder that not every gem on the market deserves a place in your collection. Rank 8, glass-filled ruby, the stone that breaks under heat. Would you wear a ruby ring if you knew it could shatter with nothing more than the heat from a jeweler's torch, or even a simple repair? This is the hidden risk behind glass-filled rubies, stones that look dazzling at first glance, but which many experts now advise never to buy. Rubies have been mined for centuries in Myanmar, Thailand, and more recently in Mozambique. Traditionally, they are corundum colored by chromium, one of the most durable and valuable gemstones on the planet. But fine rubies are scarce, and as demand soared, dealers turned to treatments to make lower quality material appear flawless. The most common of these treatments is glass filling. Rubies with fractures and cavities are heated with lead glass, which flows into the cracks, making the stone appear transparent and brilliant. On the surface, the result is stunning. A once cloudy fractured crystal now glows with profound red clarity, almost indistinguishable from natural high-grade ruby. But beneath that surface, beauty lies fragility. The glass inside is much softer than ruby itself. Where natural ruby ranks 9 on the Mohs scale, glass barely reaches 5. That means the stone can scratch, chip, or even crack if exposed to pressure or heat. Jewelers often warn customers that a routine resizing or repair can destroy a glass-filled ruby in seconds. Unlike untreated gems, these stones cannot stand the test of time. In appearance, they often display an unnaturally vivid red, sometimes with flashes of orange or pink under certain lighting conditions. Clues to the treatment. For trained gemologists, bubbles trapped within fractures are a telltale sign of glass. For untrained buyers, however, they can appear to be perfect rubies sold at miracle prices. On the market, glass-filled rubies are cheap compared to natural ones, often $20 to $100 per carat, while fine untreated rubies sell for thousands, even tens of thousands per carat. The low price lures buyers, but it comes at the cost of no resale value. No serious collector, museum, or auction house accepts them as investment gems. From a historical perspective, this is striking. Ancient rubies from Burma or Sri Lanka were treasures of kings, enduring for centuries in crowns and temples. A glass-filled ruby, by contrast, may not even survive a generation. It is a modern creation, designed to deceive the eye but offering no legacy, no permanence, and no protection for the buyer. So here's the question for you. Would you risk your money on a gem that shines today but may not survive tomorrow? Or do you think even temporary beauty is worth the price if it's affordable? Share your thoughts in the comments. This debate cuts to the heart of how we define value in the jewelry world. Rank number 8, glass-filled ruby is the stone that breaks under heat, a manufactured illusion, fragile under pressure, and a gem that experts agree you should never buy if you want lasting value. Rank 7, dyed turquoise, the sky stone that's mostly fake. How certain are you that the turquoise necklace in a jewelry shop is genuine, and not just dyed howlite or even plastic passed off as the legendary sky stone? This is the dilemma behind turquoise today, and why many experts now warn buyers to be cautious or avoid it altogether. Turquoise has one of the longest histories of any gemstone. It was mined in ancient Persia, traded across the Silk Road, and carved into sacred ornaments by Native American cultures in the American Southwest. Traditionally, the finest stones originated from Iran, Egypt, and the southwestern United States, specifically Arizona and New Mexico. Fine turquoise has a sky blue or robin's egg color, sometimes with black or brown spiderweb-like veins, and was revered as a protective amulet, a stone of the heavens. But the turquoise market today is overwhelmed with treatments and imitations. Genuine, untreated turquoise is rare and fragile. Its porous structure means it can darken or absorb oils over time. To improve the appearance of low-quality material, dealers often dye pale stones with blue chemicals or stabilize them with resins. Even worse, much of what is sold as turquoise is not turquoise at all. White howlite, magnesite, or even synthetic resin is dyed blue and marketed to unsuspecting buyers. To the untrained eye, these imitations look convincing. To experts, they are worth only a fraction of genuine turquoise. In appearance, dyed turquoise often has colors that look too bright, almost artificial. The veins may seem painted or unnaturally uniform. Unlike natural turquoise, which has a soft, matte luster, treated or fake stones can appear glossy and plastic-like. Many buyers realize the difference only years later, when the dye fades or the surface chips, exposing the truth beneath. On the market, the contrast is stark. Genuine, untreated turquoise from historic mines can fetch hundreds to thousands of dollars per carat, especially if it is a pure sky blue hue. By comparison, dyed or imitation material may be worth only a few dollars. Yet jewelers often mix the two, making it nearly impossible for average customers to know what they are paying for. Why do experts say you shouldn't buy turquoise anymore? Because without laboratory testing, there is no certainty. Unless you purchase from a highly trusted source, there is a high chance that you are buying a dyed or stabilized stone with no long-term value. For collectors seeking authenticity, the risk outweighs the reward. So here's the question for you. Would you gamble on a turquoise bracelet knowing it might be genuine heritage stone, or just plastic dyed to look the part? Tell us in the comments, because this is one gemstone where even experts struggle to separate truth from imitation. Ranked number 7, dyed turquoise is the sky stone that's mostly fake, a gem of ancient history, but in today's market, too often a deception that experts advise against buying. Rank 6, color-coded cubic zirconia, cheap sparkle, zero investment. If a gemstone looked precisely like a diamond, same sparkle, same brilliance, would you buy it, knowing it was worth only a few dollars and would never hold its value? This is the reality of color-coded cubic zirconia, one of the most misleading stones in today's jewelry market. Cubic zirconia, or CZ, is not a natural gemstone at all. It is a laboratory-grown crystal, first produced in the Soviet Union during the 1970s. Factories in China, Thailand, and the United States now manufacture it in bulk flooding the global market. By itself, CZ is colorless, transparent, and can mimic the fire of a diamond. However, because it was too inexpensive to attract serious collectors, dealers began experimenting with coatings to make it appear more exotic. Using vapor deposition and thin film techniques, manufacturers apply metallic layers onto CZ'd, creating stones that shimmer with blues, greens, purples, or rainbow effects. At first sight, these color-coded CZs appear dazzling, like fancy sapphires or mystical topazes. But the effect is entirely superficial. The coating is fragile. A single scratch, exposure to perfume, or routine cleaning can wear it off, leaving behind plain, colorless CZ. Visually, coated CZ can fool the eye. In jewelry stores, it is often set in silver or even gold, marketed as mystic gems or rare colors. To an untrained buyer, they look convincing. But gemologists and serious collectors see them for what they are, manufactured imitations with no intrinsic value. On the market, prices are telling. While a diamond of similar size might cost thousands, a color-coded CZ often sells for $5 to $20 per carat. Some jewelers inflate the price by branding them as designer creations. But there is no resale market. Auction houses reject them. Museums do not display them. For investors, they are simply costume jewelry dressed as gemstones. Why do experts warn against buying them? Because these stones offer only the illusion of value. They do not endure. Their coatings fade, their luster diminishes, and unlike natural gems, they hold no cultural, historical, or geological significance. To archaeologists, they represent a break from tradition. While past civilizations sought gems that would last for millennia, coated CZ is designed for instant shine and quick replacement. So here's the question for you. Would you prefer a stone that sparkles like a diamond but is destined to be worthless? Or would you rather save for a gem with true rarity and history? Please tell us your answer in the comments. This is a debate not just about money, but about authenticity and beauty. Ranked number 6, color-coded cubic zirconia is a cheap sparkle with zero investment value. A reminder that not everything dazzling under the lights deserves to be called a gemstone. Rank 5, beryllinite, the rare but too fragile gem. Would you pay for a gemstone rarer than sapphire, knowing it could shatter in your hands before it even makes it into a ring? This is the dilemma of beryllinite, a mineral that appears enticing on paper, but has become one of the clearest examples of why rarity does not always equate to value. Beryllinite was first discovered in the United States, in Maine, during the 1880s. Since then, small deposits have been located in Finland, Afghanistan, and Madagascar. It forms in pegmatites, geological environments rich in unusual minerals. For collectors of rare species, the name itself carries intrigue. Few people have ever seen a faceted beryllinite in person, and this rarity once gave it a certain mystique among gem enthusiasts. In appearance, beryllinite is understated. Most crystals are colorless to pale yellow, sometimes with a faint greenish or grayish tint. When cut, it resembles glass or quartz, with a brightness that reflects light but lacks the deep fire of diamonds or the vivid hues of tourmaline. At first glance, it may look delicate and pure, but beauty here is fleeting. The problem lies in its physical properties. Beryllinite has a hardness of only 5.5 to 6 on the Mohs scale, softer than most common gemstones. Worse, it has perfect cleavage, meaning it splits easily along internal planes. For jewelers, this makes cutting and setting beryllinite extremely risky. A slight pressure, a wrong angle, or even daily wear can cause it to fracture. Many lapidaries refuse to handle it, and collectors who buy faceted specimens often keep them in boxes rather than wearing them in jewelry. On the market, prices for beryllinite remain modest, despite its rarity, often ranging from $100 to $500 per carat for well-cut stones. But its fragility eliminates any investment potential. Unlike spinel or sapphire, it cannot be worn safely. Unlike a diamond, it cannot last centuries. For archaeologists, this is striking. A gemstone that might survive in a museum drawer but not in daily life, contradicting the very purpose of jewelry as an enduring form of adornment. Why do experts say you shouldn't buy beryllinite? because its rarity is outweighed by its weakness. It is a collector's curiosity, not a gemstone for rings, necklaces, or heirlooms. Buyers who expect both beauty and durability are left disappointed. So here's the question for you. Would you rather own a gemstone so rare that almost no one else has it, even if you can never wear it, or do you think rarity without durability makes it worthless? Share your opinion in the comments. Ranked number 5, beryllinite is a rare but too fragile gem, a mineral admired in theory, but one that experts warn against buying if you want your stones to endure. Rank 4, blue John fluorite, beautiful, fragile, and unstable. How many times must collectors repeat the same mistake, falling in love with a gem's beauty only to watch it fade, crack, and vanish into history? This is the story of Blue John, a variety of fluorite mined in Derbyshire, England, that dazzled aristocrats in the 18th and 19th centuries and taught future generations a painful lesson about fragility. Would you have risked your fortune on it? Blue John is unique to the hills of Derbyshire, particularly in the Blue John Cavern and Tree Cliff Cavern. Unlike diamonds or rubies sourced worldwide, this gem has a strictly local origin. Miners once carried it out in small blocks, prized for its distinctive bands of deep violet, royal blue, and creamy yellow. Polished into bowls, vases, and jewelry, it became a symbol of British refinement. Wealthy families displayed Blue John artifacts in their homes, believing they had secured treasures to last forever. But history proved otherwise. Fluorite, the mineral that forms Blue John, has a hardness of only 4 on the Mohs scale, making it softer than a steel nail. It scratches easily, chips under the slightest pressure, and worst of all, fades when exposed to sunlight. Many 18th century Blue John ornaments that once glowed with striking purple and yellow bands are now pale shadows of themselves, mottled, cracked, or dulled beyond recognition. Entire collections deteriorated in less than 2 centuries, a blink of an eye compared to the permanence of ruby or sapphire. Archaeologists and museum curators today treat Blue John with great care and caution. Pieces are stored in dim light, handled infrequently, and sometimes never exhibited publicly out of fear of further damage. Yet buyers still appear on the market, lured by its history and charm. Experts warn against repeating the mistakes of the past. Investing in Blue John is not building a legacy, but inheriting a problem. In modern jewelry, the risks are even greater. Set into rings or pendants, Blue John can fracture with daily wear. Sweat, heat, or even gentle cleaning solutions can erode its surface. Its beauty is fleeting, its durability non-existent. Prices may reach hundreds of dollars for decorative carvings, but in terms of actual gemstone value, it isn't essential. Why then do experts say you should not buy it? Because history has already shown the outcome. Blue John offers short-lived brilliance at the cost of long-term disappointment. It is a gemstone that cannot survive the demands of time. And here's the question for you. If collectors of the past lost their treasures to cracks and fading, would you still take the same risk today? Or would you heed the warning of history? Share your thoughts below, because this is one case where archaeology and market wisdom agree. Ranked number 4, Blue John is beautiful, fragile, and unstable. A stone that once enchanted the British elite, but now stands as a reminder that not every gem was meant to last. Rank 3, Zoltanite, the overhyped color changer. How many times in history have buyers been dazzled by clever marketing, only to discover that their miracle gemstone was never as rare or valuable as promised? Would you risk your money knowing collectors before you already learned this lesson the hard way? That is the story of Zoltanite, also known as color change diaspora. This gemstone originates from a single region, the mountains of Anatolia, Turkey. Deposits were first studied in the 1970s, but it was not until the early 2000s that Zoltanite began to appear in jewelry markets. Dealers branded it with exotic names, Zoltanite and Carat, to emphasize rarity and luxury, hoping to ignite the same prestige associated with Alexandrite or tanzanite. In appearance, Zoltanite does show a fascinating optical effect. Under daylight, it shifts between pale green, champagne, or yellow-brown tones. Under incandescent light, It glows with pinks and reddish hues. This color change phenomenon, caused by trace elements of chromium, was marketed as proof of its uniqueness. Advertisements claimed it was the next great investment gem, even suggesting it would rival alexandrite in prestige. But reality soon proved harsher. Unlike alexandrite, zoltanite's colors are muted, often appearing washed out, and its shifts are less dramatic. Many buyers expecting emerald to ruby transformations found themselves disappointed by subtle champagne to pink transitions. Worse still, zoltanite is soft, with a hardness of only 6.5 to 7 on the Mohs scale, and brittle. Rings scratched easily, stones chipped, and pieces meant to last a lifetime began showing wear within years. In auctions and resale markets, zoltanite failed to hold its ground. Prices, once inflated by marketing campaigns, collapsed. While jewelry stores still sell it for hundreds of dollars per carat, collectors know it rarely appreciates in value. Outside Turkey, its appeal remains limited. Museums seldom showcase it, and serious investors avoid it altogether. The historical parallel is clear. Throughout centuries, markets have overvalued stones based on hype. Whether it was glass-filled rubies in the modern trade or quartz mistaken for topaz in ancient times. Zoltanite became yet another chapter in that history, a gemstone praised by advertisers but abandoned by buyers once the truth was revealed. So here's the question for you. Would you trust a gem promoted as the next big thing? Or do you believe history shows us that hype fades while true rarity lasts? Let us know your view in the comments, because debates like this continue to divide collectors today. Ranked number 3, Zoltanite is the overhyped color changer, a Turkish stone that promised the world, delivered only disappointment, and now stands as a reminder that not every shifting color hides lasting value. Rank 2, Tanzanite, the one-mine stone, with uncertain future. Would you invest in a gemstone knowing that every single piece of it comes from one narrow strip of land, and that when the mine is gone, its market could collapse overnight? That is the dilemma of tanzanite, a stone that dazzled the world but has also trapped investors in one of the most dangerous bets in gem history. Tanzanite was discovered in 1967 near the base of Mount Kilimanjaro in northern Tanzania. It is a variety of zoisite colored by vanadium, famous for its pleochroism, which shows different hues depending on the angle of light. In daylight, tanzanite often appears deep sapphire blue. Tilt it, and you may see flashes of violet or burgundy red. Tiffany and Company branded it Tanzanite after its homeland, and the gem quickly became a sensation in global jewelry markets. But here lies the risk. Tanzanite is found in only one location, the Marilani Hills of Tanzania. Unlike sapphires or spinels that occur across continents, tanzanite has no alternative deposits. Its entire global supply depends on a single geological pocket. This exclusivity fueled speculation. Dealers promised it would become the next emerald, and prices surged. For a time, buyers believed they had found the ultimate investment stone. Reality proved more complicated. Tanzanite is soft, 6 to 7 on the Mohs scale, and prone to scratching. It is also heat sensitive. Much of the material is artificially heated to enhance its blue color. In jewelry, it wears down far faster than sapphires or diamonds. Collectors expecting heirloom durability were left disappointed. Then came the market crashes. In the late 1990s and again in the 2010s, speculative bubbles drove tanzanite prices sky high, only for them to collapse when supply increased or demand fell. Traders who bought at peak values found their gems worth a fraction of the original price. Today, fine stones can still reach $1,000 per carat, but resale is uncertain, and most commercial material is sold for far less. From an archaeological perspective, this is a familiar story. Throughout history, societies have overvalued gems tied to limited sources, such as obsidian quarries in the Bronze Age or Columbian emerald rushes in the 16th century. In each case, when supply was disrupted, markets shifted and fortunes disappeared. Tanzanite continues this pattern, a one-source gem vulnerable to exhaustion, politics, and speculation. So here's the question for you. Would you dare to invest in a stone that could vanish in a generation, knowing history shows us that bubbles always burst? Or would you choose stability, even if it lacks the thrill of exclusivity? Share your thoughts in the comments, because this debate divides collectors, investors, and historians alike. Rank number 2, tanzanite is the one-mine stone with an uncertain future. Brilliant in color, but burdened by fragility, speculation, and the hard lesson that not every rare gem is a safe treasure. Rank 1. Blood diamonds. The ethical trap. No investor should touch. Would you wear a diamond if you knew it was bought at the cost of human lives, civil wars, and entire nations destabilized? This is the haunting legacy of blood diamonds, stones that sparkle brilliantly on the surface, but carry shadows too dark for any investment portfolio to bear. Diamonds are mined across the world, in Angola, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, as well as in Russia, Canada, and Botswana. But in the 1990s and early 2000s, certain African conflict zones became synonymous with the darkest chapter in gem history. Rebel groups seized diamond-rich territories, using the stones to fund wars, purchase weapons, and prolong violence. Each glittering crystal smuggled out of the ground became a currency of blood. In terms of appearance, blood diamonds are indistinguishable from any other diamond. They show the same brilliant fire, the same colorless beauty, the same dazzling sparkle under light. And that is the danger, because their physical perfection hides their violent origins. Jewelry buyers in Europe and the United States once paid millions for stones unknowingly tied to civil wars that left tens of thousands dead and displaced millions more. International outrage eventually led to the establishment of the Kimberley Process Certification Scheme in 2003, designed to prevent conflict diamonds from entering the market. Yet loopholes remain. Diamonds smuggled through third countries or mixed with legitimate stones still find their way into global supply chains. For collectors, this creates not only an ethical risk, but also a financial one. Owning a blood diamond can lead to reputational ruin. No auction house or museum will showcase such stones. They are liabilities disguised as assets. Historically, this is not the first time gems have carried human costs. From the forced labor in ancient emerald mines of Egypt to the colonial exploitation of South America's silver and gold, wealth extracted through suffering has always left scars. But blood diamonds became the modern emblem of this cycle. Luxury intertwined with violence, beauty overshadowed by guilt. On today's market, diamonds remain valuable. A fine stone can still command tens of thousands of dollars per carat, but experts warn that the risk lies not in the gem's durability, but in its origin. With growing consumer awareness, younger buyers increasingly reject stones without verifiable ethical sourcing. A blood diamond may shine like any other, but its story ensures that it cannot be resold with honor, or sometimes at all. So here's the question for you. If offered a flawless diamond at half the price, but with no guarantee of ethical sourcing, would you take it or walk away? Leave your answer in the comments. This is not just a debate about gems, it is a question about values. Rank number 1, blood diamonds are the ethical trap no investor should touch, forever brilliant in appearance, but burdened with a history that no amount of polish can erase. Thank you for staying with us through this entire countdown. We've seen 10 gemstones that shine brightly on the surface, yet carry risks, fragility, or shadows so deep that experts urge you never to repurchase them. Each one is a reminder that in the world of gems, not everything beautiful is truly valuable. If you enjoyed this journey, we'd be grateful if you could like this video and subscribe to Gemstone Kingdom. Your support is more than a click. It's the motivation that drives us to keep researching, fact-checking, and bringing you the untold stories of the gem world. Every subscription and every like helps us create more documentaries that dig deeper into the truths hidden beneath the sparkle. And here's a hint about what's next. Our upcoming episode will take you on a path even stranger, exploring gemstones that didn't just lose value, but gemstones that once sparked wars, rewrote borders, and changed history itself. If today was about avoiding mistakes, the next journey is about uncovering power. Until then, thank you again for watching, and we'll see you in the next documentary.